Welcome to Real Talk with Pam, the show where authenticity meets conversation and women's lived experiences become shared ones. Today, we're going to be talking about the comparison trap. And I have three incredible women who have joined me today to talk about this. This is a real issue, which I think a lot of us can learn from and navigate through life. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we dive in, I'd like you to introduce yourselves briefly, what you do, and we'll take it from there. I'll start with you.
My name is Kemi Dallas. I run a facility management company, and I also run a 24/7 MEP services company, and that is basically plumbing, electrical, and HVAC 24 hours a day services to residents in Ikoyi, Victorialand, and Onero.
Awesome, amazing.
Yeah.
Welcome, Kemi.
Thank you.
Hi, Pam. Thanks for having me. My name is Fabia Ogunmekan. I'm a lawyer and a social impact development consultant. I run my own consultancy company called Adaba Initiatives, but I also contract with a number of organizations, essentially working on social engineering, I would say, in summary.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for having me, Pam. My name is Amara Abim, and I am the founder of the Nanny Academy. The Nanny Academy is a social enterprise that trains and places nannies, and we are working on the care economy to build care infrastructures for today for all of us. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome, women. I'm really excited about this conversation. So what I love about this is that you guys are friends, so which is really great. And I think often as women, I think maybe a bit more than men, we struggle with the comparison trap. And I'm very interested and curious to know your own experiences about the comparison trap, particularly in Nigeria society, where I think that we measure success by status. How, the car we drive or what social circle we're in, how many accolades we have to our name. And sometimes that can create internal as well as external pressures. So I'd like us to talk a little bit about that. So my question is, first of all, and anybody can go first, is have you guys had any personal experience with the comparison trap in terms of maybe you being someone who you compared yourself to, or you were somebody who somebody else was comparing themselves to you? How did you navigate that?
Okay, for me, I think because of the uniqueness of the space I work in, so on a work level, I don't necessarily get that comparison. I mean, the comparison will not even be amongst women. It will now be a situation where it's now men, because I work in a male-dominated environment and industry. But in terms of friendships, I don't think so. None of my friends work in my space,
Right.
so we don't really get to kind of compete or be compared in that space. And what I tend to do is more maybe we collaborate. And so I mean, everybody knows, but I'm the queen of partnerships. So I am constantly partnering with somebody on something or
Right.
trying to do something. And so that's more of the relationship I have with friends and the people around me, as compared to being competitive and being in that space. So for me, I don't really get so much of
Right.
that in, at least work-wise,
Work-wise.
so work-wise, no, not really. In friendships, I mean, I don't think, then again, I also want to speak to my friends. I don't know, I have friends that compete,
Right.
at least with me. Anyway, not that I know of.
Sure.
Maybe they do, and I'm not aware, but not that I know of. And I definitely am not competing with any of my friends. So it's it's easy. I have other people maybe trying to compare us. I'd say maybe more in the personal space. They can say, oh, this person has this, maybe they're just trying to get you to now look at them in a certain way. And I'm like, well, that's okay for them. But I'm not, there are a lot of things I want to achieve in my life, and that's I can be narrow-minded in what I want to do and what I want to achieve. And once I'm on that journey, it doesn't really matter. I don't see anybody. I'm just going. And I'm going to get what I want to get. So it's really, it doesn't really matter who's around me and who's trying to compete with me or who's with me on that journey. It's just, I'm going, you get on this bandwagon, and if you don't, okay, fine, but I'm still going to go, and I'm still going to get to where I want to get to, and so for me, it's a bit different, and it's just different, I guess, because of the kind of person I am. It's quite different in what it is that, so I don't see it.
Right.
I really don't, so and that's it. Yeah.
And for me, I think it's important. And now I'm speaking from a professional level.
Right.
I just think more that comparison is not used in a negative way. It's essentially, I think, to keep me accountable.
Right.
And so, yes, I mean, I would look at what other people who are at my professional level are doing. I would look at what, people who I admire, people who I consider mentors, for example, are doing in terms of their journey, and where were they essentially when they were sort of at my level, and how far am I maybe from that goal, or from that, from that dream, or from, especially for those who I admire and who I look up to. So if that's comparison, then that's not certainly something that I do. But I would like to think that I use it because it keeps me accountable and it keeps me on the goal. So like Kemi said, it's not necessarily going to affect the trajectory that I'm on, or, the goals that I've set for myself. But in some ways, it helps you in setting those goals.
Right.
It kind of helps you look at, okay, what's realistic, what's not realistic. If this person could do it, and if this person is on this journey, then, this person doesn't have two heads. Maybe I can do it too.
Right.
So I think I certainly look at what other people are doing, but I use it from that aspect of channeling it towards something that will serve me positively. I think as a human being, especially with social media, and I know we'll come to that, because it's easy to have and say this, speak of it in this aspect when it's just you actually being in control of what you see and whose journey you're looking at to basically compare yourself with. When you take it, when it's, in this now sort of new age of social media, it's now even more in your face in the sense that, well, I wasn't necessarily looking to compare myself with her or with him, but it's now like right there in my face. So it's then about how do you set those boundaries so that, it continues to be about the positives in terms of where you're going and how this works and serves you. This comparison, how does it work and serve you, as opposed to now getting sucked in and then ultimately finding yourself when it becomes a trap. So I know we're going to talk about social media, so I'll leave it there for now. But I think that certainly, I think it can even be healthy, right? More from a benchmarking, if that is the trajectory you're on in terms of career. With personal relationships there, I think I would agree with Kemi. I don't really compare myself to any. I mean, my friends are my accountability partners. My friends are my network. My friends are my support sisters. And that's the kind of relationship, that I have with my friends. I don't have that many friends. We have, a few acquaintances and all of that. But the people who are my friends are there to lift, are there to support, are there to give me energy for the journey. So the issue of comparison, I think, doesn't really come up. I mean, you look at people's lives, of course, and you acknowledge their successes. You may even desire some of that for yourself. But I think as long as it continues to be sort of in a positive lane, then it's healthy. It's when it moves out from that you sort of, you have to sort of check it.
That's right.
So that's what I would say.
How about you?
Yeah. So this is a very interesting conversation. When I saw the question, I was like, yeah. And so for me, I would say that competition, comparison from the trajectory of my life, it has been unusual because I have never really worked for anybody, right? So professionally, I work for myself, and so I set the goals I want to achieve. But then, you see, working for yourself can also be very tricky because you might not end up being accountable if you don't look out, see what's going on. And so I would say that if you are like me, you know, an entrepreneur, a self-starting person, if you don't look outside, if you don't have an element of, you know, competitiveness, you'll be complacent. And if you're complacent, you know, you're not going to be driven. You might not be innovative. You might not grow. And that's, you know, dangerous, right? So, but you see, it is now the extent to which you control the buttons of that comparison. So how do I actually compare myself with other people? I do it in terms of, okay, where am I coming from? I always remember to ask myself that question. Like, I'm not the same with anybody. What's my background? Where are you coming from? And then where are you going? And what's the vehicle that is taking me there? So I tend to, you know, inspire myself with these questions at every point in time, and that doesn't put me under pressure. I don't think I've ever been under pressure because I see what other people are doing. But then I hold myself accountable from year to year to say, you know, you have to improve, you have to add something. And so if that is competition, then it is good. As my mother will always say, she said, you know, there is something called comparative education. You cannot say that, oh, well, you are all sufficient. It's good to look left, right, you know, see what is good, just like Fabia said, you know, pick it. And this is professional, you know, when it comes to the work you do, quantifying it, adding value, you have to have measures. And so that becomes what you're competing against, as against competing against people. You know, competing on milestones. You know, I also look at my age, like, okay, how am I doing? Am I doing well enough? I know there are so many stories out there that says, oh, well, it can start for you at any time, but I don't believe in complacency. I believe that you have to keep, you know, going. So that's kind of my perspective. So I don't ever put myself under pressure, but still I hold myself accountable. Like, you can't remain like this. You have to keep, you know, increasing in value. So that's what I would call competitiveness. And, you know, when it comes to friendship, personal life, how can there be competition in friendship? No, there is no competition. With friends, it's more of, like what she said, accountability, you know, and then lifting each other up, collaboration, because again, you can't even collaborate with people who are competing with you in that sense.
Of course,
So with friends, it's more like, okay, mirror, look at me, and then tell me, what can you tell me, and how am I going to improve? We share our stories, we encourage ourselves, and we move on. You know, so that's how I look at the comparison. I don't look outside of, you know, the goals I set for myself, really. Yeah. But then I might want to say that, okay, you're a development consultant. Look at the SDGs, for instance. Where are you? What are the benchmarks? How are you doing? You know, how can you increase? What's that one thing that you want to add to, you know, raise the bar? And that's how I keep, you know, competitive internally. Yeah. So,
which is great. I mean, I think, like, what I'm reading from what you guys are saying or taking away is, you know, it's definitely a personal thing, a personal growth mindset. But I know a lot of women don't feel that way. There are people who do compete on a personal level as well as on a professional level. And it takes a lot of, what's the word I'm trying to look for? It takes a lot of self-awareness to start. I'll give it self. This was about probably maybe 15 years ago. I remember like one of my best friends from Didi Munali came to England when I was living there. And I think my daughter, I had just gone through a divorce, so I wasn't in a very good place mentally. And she came into town and said, oh, Pam, I'm in town. I'm giving a talk at SOAS, which was my alma mater, and I'd love you to be there. And, you know, she had just written one of her numerous books, and she's doing a book signing. And I was like, oh, I have no one to take care of my daughter. It's like, oh, bring her along, you know. So, you know, reluctantly I went because I was really tired. I didn't want to go, but I went because Didi's awesome, and, you know, she's always an encouraging person. So I remember being there, and I just started bawling, and I was like, you know, look at this awesome woman. She's writing books and everything, and here pushing a buggy. That's basically how I felt, you know what I mean? So I literally had a meltdown afterwards, and was, you know, ugly cry, you know, and I remember calling one of my friends in America just to talk. and said, this is how I felt. I feel like I'm a loser. I'm not achieving anything. And meanwhile, you know, I was working on it, but I just felt like
I
I put myself there. And I was like, and so he's like, Pam, you've just gone through a divorce. You know, you're a single mother. You're going through so many things that are external as well as internal. You need to put your life in perspective. And then also, that was one thing. Then the other thing was, I needed to check myself. And I thought, if I don't nip this in the bud, then I'm going to become one of those people who, like Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is a thief of joy. And then you become bitter or jealous.
Of an ordinarily good friendship.
And I literally that day had an aha moment and decided to nip it in the bud and say to myself, you know, I need to stay in my own lane. My journey is my journey.
Yeah.
And we all have different uniqueness that God has given us. I need to find what it is for me and stay in that lane. And from that day, I made a decision that no matter what, I will never let anything get in place of our friendships. And I think sometimes I've been a recipient of people comparing themselves to me, and that sort of puts a friction in the friendship. But I decided that I was going to change, and no matter what. And Ndidi is one of the most encouraging people you could ever find. She brings people together, and I decided that I was going to be that way. That I look at someone, if they're doing great, I'm happy for them. That is their journey, and I think a lot of comparison comes from people saying, you want to live somebody else's journey when it's not your journey.
Exactly.
You have to figure out what your journey is and stick with that. But like you said, learn from other people around you, but ultimately face your own, stay in your own lane. And I think that, for me, that's what has helped me tremendously. So another thing I wanted us to talk about is this whole idea of social media. I mean, we can't get away from it. Social media is here to stay, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want to talk about how does social media feed into this comparison trap? Because I do feel that the good side of social media is the access to incredible information. But for me, the challenging side of things is sometimes you look at social media and then you look at someone's life and you think it's perfect. And you're looking and you're thinking, wow, at this person or people. And is that even real? And how has that, if anything, how has that played into your own lives or your own way of thinking? I'll start with you, Fabia, because I know
Okay. So the first thing, I think I started alluding to that in the last part of our conversation. So the thing with social media is that it presents you information that you're not necessarily looking for. And so, like I said, so there's the healthy side of, within what you can control, who you sort of seek out to even put yourself in the position of then comparing yourself to, and then using that positively for setting these sort of benchmarks that we talked about, right? But with social media, it comes at you, and if you allow yourself, it will come at you like a fast-moving train. But I also think that, age and perspective is something that counts. I mean, we're all in our sort of late 40s or mid to late 40s. And I think at the stage of life we're in, we have borrowed ourselves some sense enough to know that you really, you've got to understand how to set boundaries and you can't be swayed. In our friendships, we're not swayed. In how we choose friendships, I think we all have this sort of hashtag, we say no new friends. Of course, we're open, obviously, to new friends, but the idea is that you're already who you are. So you know exactly what you're looking for. There's only a certain type of person at this stage you're really going to be allowing into your life if the person is coming into your life for the first time. We're our values are set. We're set in our ways. We know exactly what we're looking for. And I believe that that's the same approach that we take, to social media, that anyone should be taking to social media. So for those who are sort of younger and are still sort of trying to find themselves, I think just understanding that some of these things aren't necessarily, I think we had a pre-conversation before. Obviously, you put out on social media what it is, the best parts of you, right? Generally, you're not going to be sort of putting out there stuff, like on your sad days. necessarily showing that, right? Even though we want to be authentic, we want to show our vulnerabilities, it's easier to show the good stuff.
Sure.
Social media sets you up to show the good stuff. And in that same way, social media sets you up to show more success than failures. I mean, how are you exactly beyond maybe your posts? Are you really going to communicate failure? Some people are deliberate, obviously, the life coaches and things like that who are on social media, and if that's what you're following, you will probably find two sides to stories and motivational things. But in general, in terms of content creation, you're really posting the best of yourself.
That's right.
And so I think we those of us that consume social media then need to understand that it's only half the story that is out there, right? You're not getting the full picture. Even with me, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a social media junkie, but I use social media. Sometimes I tell my friends as therapy, right?
Right.
I use it to also document. I'm a picture person. I like to take pictures. So I also kind of use it to house some of my memories and scroll back through the years and say, oh, wow, this is also the journey. But that's me. That's my journey. And I'm not doing it for anybody. I'm really not, because if I am, I'll probably be chasing followers. I'm not. I'm just growing it's all growing organically, you know? But I'm interested I'm a people's person in terms of just like a deep thinker and a watcher. And so I'm actually interested in what other people are doing and what other people are showing. But there are boundaries. I set boundaries for myself. I'm not going to be swayed left and right. But again, just like Amara and Kemi had also said, I kind of also use it to check. I mean, I'm interested in seeing, okay, what somebody who is at my professional level or in my profession is doing.
Right.
Again, just to sort of use that as an additional, not the only, but an additional benchmark as to, is one progressing, is one growing? What are the opportunities that are out there that other people are tapping into, and how can that? And, Amara knows I'm always sharing some of these development opportunities for her. I'm very interested in, we have the connection in terms of the work we do around care. And it's a growing industry, and she's been in it for a long time. I'm coming into it from the policy angle, and so we share things, and when we see information, we share. And sometimes she actually helps me. She puts a break and says, "Girl," she doesn't say. She's very polite. She doesn't literally tell me, "Fabia, stop sending me," but she implies it, and she's like, "Yeah, that's great for her." So, I've got this and I've got that, I've got this. So, hey, thank you, keep it coming, but just cool it, calm down. And I get it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should just, I should cool it off, So, again, I think that's where the friendship comes in, because you don't do the social media journey alone, right? You see interesting things you share with your friends. Their response will even tell you that, this is much, this is too much, so maybe it's time to rein it in.
Right.
So I think boundaries, it's social media is there to stay. If we are able to utilize it for the positive things that it presents, right? Seeing what's out there, information gathering, information sharing, in that sort of positive light, but understanding that, without this, we had careers for a good 15 plus years or 20, before we all got on social media. Right. We were all thriving without this visibility that is now so crucial, that if you don't have it, you're not doing anything. So I think, again, it's just reminding ourselves, and that's why, in our friendship circle, we have that. We validate each other. We know that, look, we're not rookies in this business. We're all over 20 plus years as professionals. So if social media erupted 5 years ago, or however long, or 6, 7, 8 years ago, you've been doing great stuff before this, and this is not the only benchmark.
Great. Awesome. How about you, Amara?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so social media is, is a very interesting phenomenon. I know, being someone that is playing in the care sector, I'm a care educator as well. I mean, we have curriculum. So one of the things we teach when you're talking about children's development, you talk about social development. There is a physical, intellectual, language, emotional, and then social development parts. Yeah, and it's very essential. My mom was an educator, and she would always say, oh, the missing part in some people's life is the social part. They don't have social skills, social appetite or aptitude, and so it sort of stunts growth and development. Yeah. So you see, social media for me, I see it as that aspect of development.
Right.
It is just like an arena where we have now taken that social part too. So for all of the relationships I have, including family, friends, I really appreciate it when I can connect with, family members. On social media, I'm like, yeah, you should know what's going on. I've like I said it. I don't need to come and tell you. I don't need to,
One button and it's gone everywhere.
You've not called me. I'm like, can't you post something? So I know that, you can't you see, I always update, because I'm sharing. And so that's the thing. I look at it as that. Like it is a sharing opportunity. And sharing is such a beautiful thing. It's a human thing. You want to share. When you share, you empower.
That's right.
That's how I look at it. And so my circle, and that's, let me say, family, like, you post a lot. You post a lot. And it annoys me endlessly.
So that's another perspective.
Honestly, you post a lot. I'm like, what's wrong with you? What I'm posting, I'm encouraging myself. As you said, I want to see my story. For me, social media is an outlet. I use it to document.
Right.
Since I started using it, it wasn't 7 years ago. I've been in social media since 2011. That's 14 years.
Wow.
Because I happened to study media and communication as well.
Right.
And so it was inside the classroom that I opened my Facebook. I'm so proud of that.
Well, Facebook,
and guess
that's
what?
true.
Yes.
Yes.
So guess what? For some of my awards, I have gotten validation because the award, they will go and track the story you've told, and they will see my footprints on my Facebook. And that has, formed a sort of validation for me that, it's a good thing, right? But honestly, apart from, the comparison thing, I think that social media teaches more. And then from that development, part, I think it's healthy, because when you see some older folks now who use social media, it keeps them busy. That boredom reduces and they're current. They know what's, I'm so happy my dad has kind of come up to speed. My mom refused to come up to speed with social media. So I don't see, that pressure. Right. But I think just like everything in life, in fact, your social media should be a reflection of who you are. Yes. And by that, I mean who you're following, the things you like, where you comment, so it's still that same thing we do in real life when you find yourself in a classroom or at a conference or in church. The people that will be your friends, it should reflect online as well. Right? Yeah, so, in that way, it's a good thing. I don't in any way see negatives on social media. There are some places I would never follow some people because I don't like it. That's it, because it's also a reflection of my values. And so I'm also teaching my children. So, these children of, our children now, they are growing on social media. And then they have this different perspective about social media, the ones they like, the ones they don't like. And I try to tell them, look, you don't live as if you're living on social media, because there's no way everything is going to be out there. In real life, you can be crying in your closet and you come out and you smile at your friend. So there's nothing fake. I think it's human nature that we don't just come out and say everything. Things are clear. You have your sitting room, but you can go to your bedroom and everything is scattered, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So from that perspective, if you can really, really harness the good, right, from social media, it's really something that I feel there's no pressure about it. It is enjoyment for me. It is learning for me, and it helps to, put you in that, okay, I see what people are doing, great stuff. What can I learn from this? And how can I, yes, as against competing, it grows, it grooms, it helps, and it entertains. It just does a world of good, I believe, and informs as well.
Which is awesome. I think, like I said, we're all women who have lived lives and we've learned. But it is a real thing out there. I know people, even in this season of children going to university, I've heard of a couple of kids who have actually unalived themselves because of the pressure of social media. They read, somebody got into an Ivy League school, I didn't get in. And then they go and they...
In those kind of instances, that was why I started talking about it from a social, development point of view. I think, the training that we get from home, the education we receive, because social media is not going to replace school. It's not going to replace family. So when we say those things, I wonder, did they fall from the sky? They're coming from somewhere, right? Yeah, so there is a gap. there is a vacuum.
So yeah, we
That
have to
was
plug
the
those
thing.
gaps. That's what
Yeah.
So this has
Yeah.
to be plugged, you know, so that
we have to be
it holds
aware,
some people. Yes,
and then we have to take action
Yes.
to plug.
exactly.
I agree. But
Yes.
sometimes the information is coming faster than we can catch
Right,
up.
we can,
It
right.
really is coming
Yes,
faster.
that's
true.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, we keep trying. We keep trying and looking for ways to plug the gap.
Yeah.
How about you?
Me, I'm on social media.
You're getting all perspectives.
Definitely.
I mean, funny enough, I mean, when I say, well, yeah, I even forgot about Facebook.
Exactly. When I was saying 5 seconds, I totally forgot about Instagram, right?
Yeah. When we say social media, I think everybody just moves to Instagram,
TikTok for the younger
ones. Yes, and not even Facebook. Also, yeah. So yes, I was kind of part of Facebook, I guess, when it was still popular. I mean, it is still, but I mean, of course, we used to do more then. Okay, so for me now, social media is very personal because I'm a very private person. Which yeah, right. I am. I'm extremely private.
I agree.
And so, as a person, that's me. So I'm definitely not going to be that one that you are going to see my life on social media. So that's just not me. I enjoy going on social media and watching everybody else
Like
stuff.
gist,
I love this, and even on the social, even on it, so we have different, I have different groups that we see something funny, we send to that, see this, so we do that. For me, social media, I say it's also my yellow pages.
Right.
So I'm looking for something. The first place I'm going to check is
Facebook.
Yeah.
Instagram, actually.
Instagram. Okay.
I don't even really remember Facebook.
I know so
I can't
much,
remember the last time I logged into my Facebook account. But for Instagram, for instance, I will go there and check for anything I'm looking for, so that's my first score. And then another thing I love to do, because my work is very intense, I am in a very intense workspace, and so it helps me disconnect sort of from reality. So I go and I laugh because I follow all this comedy, all those comedians and stuff like that. I'm like laughing and I'm falling off my bed. And so I think one day, I don't know, someone was like, why were you laughing so loud? I was like, oh, I was watching something. Like, seriously? I'm like, that's where I disconnect because my brain is always working. So if I'm on social media, that means I'm not thinking and I'm just glancing. So I don't take it in like most people do. So it's really just, and I can as well be watching TV. So that's it. So I'm not moved. I'm not influenced. I'm not swayed. I have no. It's really, it really goes over my head.
Sure.
It's really more of, I'm looking for something. I go, I find it. A company, somebody doing something I'm trying to do. There's even retail. You go online, you see somebody selling something. Oh, nice! Oh, where's your store? I go. So it's actually not good in that area. You spend money that you really don't spend. But so then that aspect, like, no, don't let me see it. So if I don't see it, I won't buy. But then I now say, oh my God, now I have to buy it. So that's it. But I see how people, because I do. I know somebody that is greatly influenced by social media, and I just constantly say, this is not necessarily real life, right? Because like you said, like everybody has said, it's something like I can put my best foot forward. I can put my best life forward.
Curated.
That doesn't mean, it's not necessarily real life. Don't get sucked to this thing, unless, and then in fact, there was, fortunately, there was a particular person, and I was like, I know this person. Believe you me, this is not real. This is so not real. I'm telling you, this is so not real. So you really need to understand that anybody can curate the perfect life on social media. So you just really need to put that at the back of your mind, and and that's it. So it's, again, for me, it's entertainment.
Sure.
It's marketing. And if everybody keeps on saying you are not on social media, you are not doing it enough, you need to promote your business on social media. Okay, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get there. I'll get there. Every day is I'll get there. I have a friend that said me like, okay, so this is what you need. You have so much you can say about this topic. Why don't you put it? I was like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'll get there. And I think I'm a bit lazy when it comes to social media because I just think it takes a lot. Even I'll take pictures to post it. Oh, I forgot. Okay, that's fast. But
I enjoy it.
No. And I think I'm also too. Okay, so
she enjoys the content.
I enjoy the content. No, I'm not a content creator because I'm too.
But it actually is a lot of work. Which is probably why people do it as content creators, and then that.
Yeah, because
that's right.
Now,
so
for me,
I
I wanted to say that I am verified, right? And so verification, they say, oh, I think I told you a bit about it. I want to let me end this money, monetization. And so Facebook was taunting me to, oh, Amara,
to verify.
Guess what? No, I verified. And then they're like, oh, every week they give you a target. Like, okay, post 7 pictures, 7 likes.
That's I can't do that.
I can't do that.
That's weird.
I will not be the one making
that. I felt
the pressure.
So when I was on holiday, right, in January, I was in Canada. So I had time. I was like, okay, let me do this. I can do it, and I started. No, by the time I came back, I was like, no, your face like, I don't care about this.
Right.
Benefit, I don't want it. I don't need this. And I did what? I ignored them. So if I go there now, they still said, oh, Amara, post 7 status this week, 7 stories, make how many
That's
posts
not fun anymore.
I can't even exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's going to be a business, then you set up the infrastructure to make it a
support
business.
that, exactly.
Then it's no longer about.
And someone even advised me, oh, you can hire someone, get that? Hire someone to then be feeding your content. And then I looked at my personal values and I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I can hire someone to manage Nanny Academy's page because it's a business. But my own page, I don't want that. I want to be the one on my page, because of the kind of authenticity I want. I said, I don't need this pressure. I don't want it. So I will allow my Facebook is not going to go organic. I might not have 20,000 followers. I don't care about that.
That's right.
But I mean, my page is private. Yeah. And I think maybe I have all of God knows how many people that's so that's number one.
Right.
So, and I'm probably never going to change that. Even to repost. If you send me something that you're like, I don't know, how do you do that? Tell me how to do it. Repost, but I don't know.
And another comparison trap comes from social media. When you post, how many likes did you get? I always disable. Go to my I cannot see how many people that liked my I don't want it because it was almost also getting to me because I listen to people like, oh, why don't you?
Those are the external pressures I'm talking about,
and that's why,
and especially for the younger ones, I
said remove this. Remove count likes. You won't see it on any of my posts. Even on the Nanny Academy, I disabled it. I'm like, I don't want. It's not necessary.
If one person likes it and they're happy, that's fine. I've made an impact.
Exactly.
And if nobody likes it, it's fine. I made myself happy and I can go back to it in 2-3 years.
But that's what it's even if one person likes it and that you help that person, that's most important.
Exactly.
I remember I'll share a story about I used to read this book, Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Okay.
Do you know the Chicken Soup book? Amazing. And I remember reading this powerful story many, many years ago. So there was this guy on the seashore, and there had been a lot of starfish that had washed onto the seashore. And so he was picking them up and throwing them back into the sea. They were like thousands, hundreds and thousands. So people kept walking past him thinking, this man is crazy. This is going to take you hundreds of years to finish this job. So some lady comes up to him and said, why are you even bothering? It's going to take you a long time. He didn't listen to her. He just picked up another one and threw it back in and said, well, it made a difference to that one. So it's about, if you help one person, that's what it's really enough. And one of the reasons I started this Real Talk with Pam is that I wanted to amplify women's voices. Women like you who are accomplished and people who are doing their everyday things that people don't even know about. And to make them feel like what you're doing is just as important. And I think which leads me to my next question, the definition of success. Let's talk about it, because I find that in this society in Nigeria, we define success very, very differently as to where other people might define success, you know. So for me, my own definition of how we define success in Nigeria is, you know, how many accolades do you have? How many awards have you received? How well are you known? What car do you drive? You know,
What school do your children go to?
what school? What school do your
Which
children go?
neighborhood do you live in?
So, like, I'll give you. So, I'm not going to mention the publication, but I went to an award show 2 months ago, and I was so disappointed when I left, because everybody who was on that stage receiving awards were the same old people every day, every time. So I thought to myself, are there no other people in this Nigeria that can get this award? Seriously? There's no woman up north that is taking care of children, doing her best, changing lives. There is nobody in Ibadan doing something to change, you know, agriculture or whatever. It's the same people. And I was like, when are we going to be different? Really?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I went to that award. There were supposed to be 65 people getting that award. By the time I got there were 80 people.
Of course.
80 people.
I think I know.
I'm not going to say.
We will talk about it. Yeah.
But you know, I was just like, seriously, we need to change in this country.
I have gone to the point where I, as a person too, I don't care about awards anymore, because I feel like, you know what, I don't need that validation.
Right.
I had a conversation with one faculty at LBS, and he was like, you know what, if you can grow your business and be profitable by yourself, you don't need anybody's validation.
Right.
And that's what I am working on now. Told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can actually make the money and give some other people.
Right.
If I can.
And you give the award.
Right.
So if the award is now going to validate, it's also another thing that puts that pressure. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then,
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's, you know, what are your thoughts about that? This whole definition of success.
What are we starting with?
I think it's personal for me. I think your definition of success is basically, it comes down to you. What do you think is success for you? What does success look like for you? For me, it's really about, I just feel like my sister says, I'm the queen of ideas.
Right.
I see something, I'm looking at something, and I see, oh, there's an opportunity there. There's something. So I don't see a problem as a problem. I always find a way to like, there's something we can do. There's an opportunity for something, you know. And I have all these things in my head, like that's constantly floating in my own head, that I want to, I mean, not all of it can be achieved, but some of it can. And because some of it I can actually make, you know, bring to reality. And as long as I'm able to actually get, if I even have 10 ideas, I'm able to bring half of those ideas to reality. That's success for me. That's it for me. It's really not about anybody. It's just about me. There are things that I've even say, and I've maybe, in fact, there was something I was working on, and I sent it to a friend, and she just looked at me like, like, yeah. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to get it done, you know, and stuff like that. And I did, you know, and that's the thing, and that's it for me. That's success. So it's not really, yes, everybody wants to, in reality, everybody wants to move up in life and be appreciated for what they've achieved and things like that. But we are all not going to be, you know, we're not all going to be on that global stage. That's the reality of it. Right. We're not going. So you have to be content with being happy within yourself. Absolutely. And being able to, and you know, again, I don't have to stand on a stage. I have my own cheerleaders that will say, "Oh yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah, I mean, I have friends that's their job, even when you don't want it. That's their job. That's what they, you know, that's what they're supposed to do. you know, because they're also the ones that see my failures though. You know, like the other day I'm starting this project, and I was it was just a bad day, and I was just extremely gutted about something. And my friend called me, and I was like, you know, I don't know, and I just went. And I think for her, because I'm also that person that solves our own problem. You know, I'm not always vulnerable with my friends.
Right.
So I'm that one that you're
there for everybody.
Yeah. So for her, it was like, oh my God. Oh, she literally went into panic mode. Right. It was like, oh. What are we gonna do? And I'm like, don't say anything. I don't need you. You literally caught me at that point, and I've just said it, and that's it. You know, because I felt she was struggling to say, okay, what am I going to say? How are we going to do this?
How am I going to make it better?
Yeah, that was all. I was just like, you know what? Let's talk later. Right. It's okay. Let's talk later. You know. And of course, she kept on sending me messages. Are you okay? You know, and we went through it. And you know, again, it should not totally resolve, but at least I felt better. I moved on with it, and you know, as usual, went into, okay, how are we going to resolve this issue? Resolved it a bit, but and that's it really. So for me, it's like I said, I'm working on a project. I will get it done. That is success.
Sure.
It's not. It doesn't have to. Nobody else has to know that it was done. Yeah. Nobody has to even. I don't even put. I'm actually a shy person. Even though a lot of people think I am. So I'm not going to be that one in front of the things like, yeah, I did that. No, I'm not that person. Right. You know, I'm always that back, like, yeah. On the back side, I did it. You know, and so that's it. So it's me. It's me being happy within myself. Sure. I've achieved it. I am fine. And that's okay. And that's
awesome.
it.
Awesome. You know, I love that.
And that's it.
I love that.
I would rather cheer her on. You know, everybody tells me, she pulled me into Whisker. And so now, Whisker said, I actually was there to cheer my friend on. I was there. And to keep her there. And to keep her there. You know, it was like, no, we're doing this. No, we're doing this. You know, like it was a walk with her, really, you know. And I'm also one of those people, like once I commit, that's it. You have me. All in. I'm all in. I don't do half. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. If I'm going to do it, I'm all in. You know. So and over at the time, I'm always all in. So that's also another bad thing. But hey, that's another story for another day. Yes. You know. So yeah. So that's it. Success is me. It's me.
Personal.
Yeah. Personal. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think what is so beautiful is that you guys are friends, and I see that you keep each other accountable, and I think we cannot underestimate the role of accountability and having a safe space to really counter this whole comparison thing. Yeah, so we've talked a lot. It's a non-exhaustive topic, but I just want to end with this because a few months ago I had the opportunity to interview Adora Lumina, you know Adora Bellu, and she's an awesome person. And she wrote something that a couple of weeks on her Instagram page, which I caught. And I just want to read that out. It says, sometimes we're quick to look at what others are building and assume that the only valid measure of success is how fast or how big they can scale it. And in doing that, we unintentionally put pressure on people to feel like their work isn't meaningful or impactful unless there is a visible next level in sight. While I deeply believe in growth and stretching the things we build as far as they can go, I also believe in the quiet power of sustainability. There is something beautiful about the small shop that's been open for 20 years. The service business that's consistently served a community. The restaurant that's become a neighborhood staple. these aren't failures to scale. They are successes in staying.
Yeah.
People have built wealth, legacy, and deep impact from businesses that never made headlines, just like what you were saying. Sometimes scale looks like longevity. It looks like waking up every day and doing that thing well. Let's stop making bigger the only form of validation. If you're solving a real problem, if your work is serving someone's need, you're already an entrepreneur, and that is enough.
So
I
beautiful.
thought that was so beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah, so thank you, ladies. Is there anything else you wanted to share? Some last thoughts for our viewers about the comparison trap, or what you feel like they should hang on to? One thing they should hang on to.
Yeah, so
Yes, go for it.
well, just on success, and then I will, if there's anything else to say, I will say. So just on success, it's everything that we've sort of deciphered. So there is what society imagines that success is, or not imagines, or what society sort of dictates that success is. And then I think the other part is what Kemi said. So I think it truly is personal. And I think success is day by day.
Right.
And so almost like as part of the final words, I'll just say life is short, right? And so while it's great to plan and, to plan for legacy, to plan for, for the years ahead and to keep sort of changing, making new goals and setting goals, I think we have to really also appreciate the now.
Right.
And success for me is, that's what I aspire to, is really finding joy in the moment. So being aware enough to appreciate when you achieve those milestones without necessarily having the wide, the broader, ovation. Learning to give that ovation to oneself. Success is in the friendships, in the quality friendships that one has for themselves. And I think for me, that's one of my greatest successes, the fact that I have picked a fantastic circle of women and some men who, are there as part of my everyday, support circle, accountability, and just part of my everyday life. Success is, when you have a family, just again, that ability, there's no point, acquiring all the accolades in this world, and then those, your inner constituency, are all sort of
That's right.
floundering and not necessarily thriving. So I think success is just taking that moment every now and again. I don't want to say on a daily basis, but every now and again to check in with self as to where you are really on that journey, finding joy in the moments, deliberately and intentionally finding joy in the moments, because success is every day. Almost in this Lagos, every day you're alive is success.
Yes.
Every day you make it through the rain
And the traffic.
The traffic is success.
Yes.
So it's finding, just recalibrating those metrics, calibrating the metrics to ensure that every now and again you sort of take a deep breath to enjoy that moment that you're in, because you don't know how long you have. And so while the big dream is there for us to have all of those fantastic things that we desire for ourselves, what we have now is precious, and to me that is success.
Absolutely. Awesome. Beautifully said.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful trajectory to this conversation. I mean, just like Fabia and Kemi has said, success remains for me improvement, and just much like what she said, daily improvement. An increase in improved, metrics. We came in here today and there was a little bit of, how can it be that when we come next time when it's raining, that we don't have that kind of thing? That's what I would call success. Success is that daily improvement on your dreams, the thing you aspire to be, and then you check for yourself, how far have I gone? Am I better? Did I help myself? Did I help other people? I love that quote you cited very well, because yes, it could be staying power, but it is not regression, because we cannot pretend that regression is success,
of course,
right? Because it's burdensome, and we don't want to be a burden. As if we have the ability, then we should be better. We should improve, and I think that's really how the world gets to be better. Because all of this, even what we have in the country now, this Japa syndrome, you see people aspire, you want to get into spaces where things are
Right.
better. People work on those places, right? Yeah. So I think that success is improvement. You know, is staying power. It is working on yourself so that you get to the better version.
Yeah.
If we don't
Yeah.
have aspiration,
that better
which is
version.
also why I said complacency, I wouldn't accept it of
course.
anybody, not of myself, not of my children. I love to plant that desire for, I'm hungry to grow. I want to, but and there are always things we want to overcome. It could be overcoming your bad temper, your bad habits, or your laziness, supposedly, because if that laziness is not adding value, and then you're feeding off all of other people, then that's not okay, right? Yeah, so I think success, yeah, by and large, is personal. It is personal because you can't stake yourself against the world, and you definitely need to avoid that comparison trap so that you don't become a bitter, jealous person. I run away from jealousy. I don't like the energy, the vibe, but then I think we have to constantly improve, and that's what I call success.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, ladies. It's been absolutely a pleasure having you
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
I hope you'll come back again for part 2.
It's been a lovely conversation.
Yes.
On a rainy afternoon.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you,
Thank you for
thank
having
you,
us.
thank you. So that's it. That's a wrap for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. There are many facets to the comparison trap, but I would say my last words to our viewers is keep putting one foot in front of the other every day.
Yeah.
That is success, staying power, getting up when you're knocked down, and just focus on yourself, stay in your lane, whilst you're learning from others, but understanding that there are seasons in life. Every season is a different moment for you to focus on yourself and grow in the areas you want to grow. So thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye for now.
Bye.